to call somebody.
You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE.
Give me a hell yeah.
Now, let's meet the host. Kyle Gagliardi.
The face that runs the place.
Jim Tucker. And Erica Marini.
I'm the boss. I'm the blueprint. I'm the standard.
Well, I think we've had enough talk. It's time for the main event.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I'm your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi, and my co-host for today is my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Chucky!
What's going on, Kyle? Special. We're special now.
You know, when big things happen in professional wrestling, we are going to pop off with 2 episodes. Not one, Tuck, but 2 in 1 week.
Oh, yeah. It's a great day to be a wrestling fan and an On the Mark Wrestling podcast fan because the pod's so nice, we're going to do it twice.
That's right. We're throwing it back. Just me and you, the OTM duo, the OTM PLE champions. So let's give ourselves a round of applause for curb stomping. Yeah, there it is. All the competition. Me and you. Only one loss, right? One loss on the night at Extreme Rules.
My loss was picking Imperium over Brawling Brutes. What was your loss?
Bailey. I had Bailey defeating Bianca Belair, but on the podcast, I had Imperium. But I knew whatever result happened in that, Intercontinental Championship match on Friday, I was going to go the other way. So it paid off.
My theory almost paid off with Gunther winning, but then I saw the screwy finish and I was like, God damn, all right. Because mine was Gunther wins, Imperium wins, they go their separate ways. But after that match, I don't know if I want them to. So we'll talk about it.
I don't think, we definitely will talk about it. I don't think the majority of the people want this feud to end. I think we can continue this because all 6 men involved in it are doing a terrific job. But were you able to watch Extreme Rules live? I know we both had a lot going on this weekend, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yeah, fortunately, I was able to watch it live. Mista and I got takeout from Paisanos, which is a place that we have frequented ourselves before AEW Revolution. So we got takeout, got it back to the room just as they were making their entrances. I was getting a little pissy because the order was taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. But yeah, I watched the whole thing. It was nice. Had my feet up. I kind of behaved on Saturday, didn't get too crazy. So
because of the race was Sunday morning, right?
Yeah, the race was Sunday morning, and I knew I wasn't going to sleep well, so I wasn't trying to stay awake, but I was having trouble going to sleep. So it was kind of that perfect, well, if I'm not going to sleep, this would be great to watch, I figured I was hoping to catch like the first half and then pick the other half up after the race, but that didn't work. I watched the whole thing, and I was very happy I did.
Yeah, for those who didn't know, Tucky was in Chicago this weekend running in the Chicago Marathon. You want to tell them how that went?
Well, here's a shot of the goods here. Got the medal, but first off, I've got to thank everyone. We had a good little groundswell of fundraising from the On the Mark podcast community. Ryan Bogus, Ryan Matthews, Erica Marini, Kyle Gagliardi, Donna Gagliardi chipped in as well. So that was very critical in that last second push. I got all the money raised the day before the race. I would have had a month after to figure it out. If I didn't raise it, they would have charged me anyways. But I'm glad going into Sunday it was checked off, and that was great. And like your Twitter handle, it was just too sweet. You know it. But then up at 3:30 a.m. on Sunday morning to get ready. Got up to the course, and I was hoping to run a 3 hour 30 minutes. I got 3 hours and 28 minutes and 40 seconds. So I PR'd by half an hour compared to last year. It was awesome. And the funny thing was I was a half an hour faster, and I finished 100 spots lower this year because there were 5,000 more people. Yeah,
well, that's
so
cool
it
that
was
more
weird.
people are getting involved with it.
Oh, it was the biggest charity pool like this year with the spectators. Like there were a few empty moments last year, like down in some of the like southern parts of the course.
Right.
This year it was like packed like the whole time, so there was a ton of people. Mista worked her butt off. I got to see her 5 times throughout the race, and that
That's
was
awesome.
a big kind of uplift, especially towards the end. I saw her at 21 and 25, and at 21 I was pretty sure we were going to make it, so I stopped and gave her a smooch in the middle of the race.
Yeah, there you go. Little
And
motivation.
I was like, I think we're going to do it. And yeah, it all worked out, and then slammed a bottle of water, threw up about 6 times into a garbage can, and we got it in. You know, it was a great day. So much fun. I feel really surprisingly good today. And the travel back home went well, and here we are recording our first of 2 podcasts this week now. So it's been great.
Here we are indeed. And your finishing time, correct me if I'm wrong, was the exact numbers that our co-host Erica Marini has in her Twitter handle, correct?
Yes. That must have been a shout out, because she did make me a cheer card that I got to see in the app. It sent me all the cheer cards today. So she said, yes, boy, go get them, Tucky. I didn't see it on the boards, but yeah, Erica _0328. Tucky ran it in 328.
Illuminati confirmed.
Confirmed.
Exactly. So yeah, you definitely had yourself a hell of a weekend. We're able to fit some Extreme Rules into your schedule. I was too. Obviously, I had a busy weekend myself as I made the trip down to St. Louis, Missouri to watch my baseball team choke away their 2-0 lead that they had in the 9th inning in Game 1. And on my way back Saturday, I popped a tire in my car, obviously, and had to stop at the tire and auto shop. So that delayed us 2 hours on our way back Saturday. Got home to watch the Cardinals and Extreme Rules with the family and my brother, of course, for Extreme Rules, which that PLE was great. But the Cardinals, they got their asses handed to them once again. But I guess there's only one positive because of my Green Bay Packers ended up losing Sunday morning in London. One positive of the weekend, other than Extreme Rules, was I was on TV. I got interviewed on a local news station for my fandom and making the trip. So if you haven't seen that, it is on all my social media accounts if you want to check that out. It's about a minute and a half watch. But yeah, that was my weekend. Tucky was busy. Cool. I was busy, but we still got it in with Extreme Rules. And that's what we're here to talk about, because a lot happened here at this PLE. And if you haven't realized by now, you see down there on the ticker, this is a pre-recorded episode. We are maybe going to be running this right after we record it, right before Monday Night Raw. Or if we can't get that up in time, we will run it before NXT. So just throwing that out there for those listening or watching at a later time. That is what is going down here for episode 117. And of course, go ahead and support us. Check out the merch at the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. No promo code. That is over with. We did run a promo code this past weekend with Extreme, but you could still give us some love, show your support, and head on over to the website. So, Tucky, why don't we get right into Extreme Rules? What do you say?
Let's do it.
So, obviously, it kicked off with a Donnybrook match between the Brawling Brutes and Imperium, and the Brawling Brutes ended up picking up the dub after Sheamus was unsuccessful on SmackDown in his Intercontinental title match. So, this matchup really was just a really fun match between these 6 dudes, action all over the place. And this feud really has just been what Sheamus would say, Tuck. Banger after banger. Banger after banger.
Banger. Oh, yeah.
Another impressive matchup here and a great start to Extreme Rules. What do you say?
Yeah. If some would give it match of the night, I don't know that I'd argue with it. It was fun. Far more extreme than the Extreme Rules actual match. There were a lot of stories and back and forth, 3-on-1s, and there was a lot of I just get impressed with good matches like that, because a lot of people have to be a lot of different places at a lot of different times. And I thought it was great. I think Ridge Holland is really improving. I do like watching him more and more. And those two have reinvigorated Sheamus's career, according to him. So they're getting better, and I feel like you come out of it with more stuff to do with it when I thought they were going to put it to bed. So
yeah, and I thought like when this, I don't know if we should call them a faction, but they're a group, the Brawling Brutes, initially came together. I wasn't huge on it. I mean, we probably all thought that, Pete Dunne is better than being a Butch and just a group. But like you said, this has enhanced Sheamus's career tremendously. It also has been a good introduction, I believe, for Ridge Holland and Butch onto the main roster. And hopefully, eventually, we will get the true Bruiserweight Pete Dunne back, which I do think will happen at some point. But, I mean, this feud between these six, this can keep going because, like you said, there's so many different layers within this, group. You have Ludwig Kaiser that could do his own thing with Ridge Holland. Butch can do it with Vinci. Gunther and Sheamus can keep having these matches. And I don't think anybody's going to get tired of it. Like, with the Brutes getting the win here at Extreme Rules, we have to assume that this probably isn't over, right?
yeah, I mean, and doesn't that pair up with that Survivor Series type attitude, versus, the big versus, not a Survivor Series match or a War Games or anything like that, but that match would serve well at a Survivor Series themed event, two groups, right? Just two duking out groups. So I also have to compliment Butch because I don't know if I was Pete Dunne, the Bruiserweight, and they told me to do Butch, if I'd be all into it, and it seems, right. I think he's doing the best with what he's given right now. And I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. And I'm excited for what's to come between these groups. Cause like I said, I think we're going to be getting definitely more action between these two groups. So good way to start off Extreme Rules here. We only had 6 matches and that was probably my second favorite. I don't know where it stacked up against the rest for you.
Yeah, it's 1 and 2.
Yeah. So after that, we had a SmackDown Women's Championship. This has got, the Twitterverse going crazy, of course, with mainly how the finish was. Ronda Rousey made Liv submit and regain her SmackDown Women's Championship. I personally didn't understand the hate towards this match as a whole. I could understand the criticism for the finish, but where do you stand amongst all this with Ronda regaining the shred?
I'm here for it, especially if it gives Liv something, right? Or her Twitter's blacked out, and there's speculation on what's going to happen with that. And the one botch spot that they were talking about where Liv is falling down to give her like a backbreaker, Liv's feet don't get flushed to her back, so people are. If you go run it back, people are blaming Ronda, but Liv's feet didn't get where they needed to go. I don't think it's anyone's fault. You know what I mean?
No.
Like because I was going through it really trying to blame Ronda, and I had a tough time doing it because of that spot. Her feet just didn't get there, and she was trying. It looked like they were about to be. I don't know if you can just blame Ronda for that.
I tweeted this out too on my personal account. I rewatched this. I like to rewatch these PLEs just so I can have a sensible opinion when we sit down and we talk about them. And I am a fan of both. I'm not a huge fan of either one, and I think majority of the people dislike Ronda Rousey for a lot of reasons, and I think both women are polarizing. And I wonder if that is kind of the reason there was a lot of hate towards this match, because when I rewatched it, I tried to, sit back and not be biased towards either one. And I sat there and I was like, this was a good match. I'm not saying it was fantastic by any means, but people that were like, oh, this is embarrassing. Liv looked like dog shit. Ronda doesn't know how to sell. I didn't have a problem with anything. And I thought the finish was unique because she pulled out a submission that we've really never seen before on WWE television.
Well, and there's that layer at the end with Liv smiling a little bit. There's a little sauce to it. To me, I'm coming out of it with, okay, Liv had a good first run as a champion, right? First run. She learned a lot. They're going to add something to it, and let's see if Ronda's learned in this next run about how to become a better champion.
And I think there's a lot more options too for Ronda Rousey, like for these championship matches coming down the pipeline. And maybe, hopefully, my personal opinion, I would like to see the titles unified. I don't think there needs to be 2 major women's championships, sort of like what Roman Reigns is doing, being the unified champion. I would like to see maybe at WrestleMania, which we will be in attendance for. Can't wait for that. A unification match. And if, these champions stay the same, Ronda Rousey versus Bianca Belair is a very intriguing matchup to me.
That's badass. Yep.
Because you got Ronda, who's just legit badass, and Bianca, who we'll talk about here in a couple matches.
You've got the baddest versus the EST.
Hey, yo. Tucky's back. There it is. But going back to like what you were saying with Liv kind of smiling while being submitted and facially showing that she was enjoying it. I don't know. And a lot of people are speculating now since Bray Wyatt's back. Could Liv Morgan find her way into this Wyatt 6 group? Or maybe is this just her kind of getting a change of character and a darker side on her own? Regardless, I think you would agree with me, a character change for Liv would probably be best.
Well, like just a development. It doesn't have to be a complete, Liv more who she was, and then she turns into like Britney Spears, "Hit Me Baby One More Time." That change, crazy. But that is interesting. I know is it Abigail?
Yeah.
Abigail, there was in like the vignette, she was sitting in front of a white women's title.
There was two straps there. They're saying it's one Raw and one SmackDown.
Oh, I just saw the red one. Okay. Huh.
Yeah. Well, so that's why a lot of people are speculating if the Wyatt 6 is a thing, that it could be Alexa Bliss because she's won both belts. But do we really need to go back to that well again? Do we really need to see Alexa Bliss with Bray? I don't want to see that.
They got more Lily dolls to sell probably. If that's, I don't know. That's like confusing.
It is.
It makes me feel like they don't maybe have a direction for Alexa, but at one point they didn't have a direction for Stone Cold Steve Austin either.
I think that kind of worked out for that guy too. That Stone Cold guy. Yeah. Turned out to be
okay. I trust. We'll see. I'm excited. I'm dying to watch Raw tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff lined up. We're less than 2 hours away. You got the DX reunion. The Bloodline's going to be on it. A U.S. title match. Theory versus Johnny Gargano. Like, that's a little bit card. I'm pretty excited.
Those are things. Yes.
So let's move on here. Cross versus Drew McIntyre. I believe we all had Karrion Kross walking away with the dub here in our predictions, and that's exactly what happened, thanks to some pepper spray from Scarlett ringside. For me personally, Tuck, I don't know about you, that was probably my least favorite match. I didn't hate it by any means. It's just, I think it's hard to have a strap match be good, if you know what I'm saying.
Strap matches I don't think are ever going to be like match of the night, but I get the concept. It's a different spin on it. Scarlett coming in makes Drew look strong still. I think they got a lot accomplished. Kross, got his big win against his first opponent, and Drew McIntyre is a pretty tough first opponent. So there was a lot of good to come out of it. It was fine. It just wasn't great. I actually enjoyed the Ronda Liv match more than this.
I did too, which might be an unpopular opinion for those checking out this show, but hey, this is our opinion. This is our fucking show. OTM is ours.
Yeah, give us your comments. Reply to us on Twitter. Leave a comment on the YouTube chat, and we'll get to it. Let's talk.
I also think whenever we do decide to run this quote unquote live, I'll be active in the chat. So if you have anything you want to say that, comment on our pre-recorded comments, I will interact with the listeners. So it'll still be sort of interactive. I know we don't typically do this, but I want to be there in a way. But going back to this Kross and Drew match, where does each man go from here? Do you think we're getting another iteration of this feud down the line, like another match at Crown Jewel, or do you think Karrion Kross is going to take that next step?
You could run it back at Crown Jewel. I think that's safe because Drew's got the legit gripe. But the strap match was like so you couldn't get away. And then what do you do now? I want a regular match. No.
Steel cage, maybe. Even though you just did a fight pit, so it's kind of redundant in a way.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same. You have a War Games coming up, so there's a lot of cages going on.
We'll see. Yeah. Cages, things, metal, love it.
Do you think Drew gets lost in the shuffle in a way after this loss?
No. I think they. Me neither, but I don't think I think I hope. I'm hoping more than don'ting, you know.
Something came to mind. I mean, I could see him, like, if we do a Survivor Series match with the Brutes and Imperium, I could see him aligning with the Brutes, you know, being like the heavy for them, because Sheamus and him have like a real friendship inside and outside the ring. So maybe that's something until the Royal Rumble. I don't know. He seems like a guy you got to have a big match for, at least for WrestleMania.
You'd think.
And then Karrion Kross maybe goes after Roman after Crown Jewel, because he has name dropped him a time or two in these promos.
You mean Logan Paul?
Oh, what did I say?
Roman.
Oh, no, I'm talking about after he faces Logan Paul, Roman Reigns.
That's what I'm saying. And then Kross would face Logan Paul because he's a champion.
Yeah. There's no way anybody actually believes Logan Paul is going to win. No chance.
He's gonna get offensive. I think he win. I think Roman wins by interference, though. He'll make Logan look strong.
Really? You don't think he'll get a clean win?
I think shenanigans. I don't know.
I guess we will find out. I think that pay-per-view or PLE is in November, beginning of November, and then obviously you have Survivor Series. And I don't know if there's another show until
in December.
Day one then, right?
Day one.
Which I liked Day One last year. That's going to be exciting.
It hit even with Big E being out.
Oh, speaking of Big E, I mean, I haven't heard much about him. Have you seen anything on him working his way back in ring?
No.
That would be an interesting addition to the roster at the beginning of 2023, like a Royal Rumble pop with him and Cody Rhodes and potentially The Rock.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of interesting things down the pipeline. But let's move on here on Extreme Rules. We got the Raw Women's Championship ladder match between Bianca Belair and Bayley, where Bianca continued her dominance on Saturday by retaining that title in that ladder match. And I would say that the first ever women's ladder match was a success. I'm thankful that Bayley did not get injured. I was very worried going into a ladder match with her injury that she just had, that she would get re-injured, but everybody seems to be okay afterwards. Bianca retains, which surprised me. How did you feel about this one?
Loved it. I picked Bianca Belair. I was hoping my argument was like, do we need all the gold on two like factions between the bloodline? You got Damage Control with all the belts. Did they want to run that same kind of thing? And no, they booked Bianca very strong, even taking out kind of all of Damage Control, which I didn't see coming. But as she was getting the title, I was like, damn, all right. They're making her look tough. Who's next?
Charlotte Flair, maybe? She's got to be looming. What we haven't heard much
Sasha?
from. Yeah, I was just going to say that. I haven't heard much about like their return. Have you?
Naomi's in New York tonight.
Oh, okay.
She's in the city for what that's worth.
Naomi's got to get involved with the Bloodline stuff, right?
Bloodline's appearing on Raw tonight. So.
They introduce her while you're doing the whole DX thing. You have like a DX and Bloodline stare down, and they're like, no, we're going to add to the family.
Yeah.
No, you can't have that theme song. That ruins the Bloodline. No offense to Naomi, but I'm the man. I'm like, no.
Bloodline is different.
They're just raving when they come out in their entrance now.
Yeah.
You see, Sami Zayn could get into it. I could see that. Just But going back to Bianca, though, you were talking about how like strong and dominant she's been recently. I would say probably the most dominant female talent they've had in the past 5 years. Like she is, I'd say in their top stars right now in the company, I'd put Bianca Belair in the top 3.
Yeah.
I'm saying probably Roman Reigns, number 1. And then when you try to think of a number 2, I think Seth
is carrying. Seth has argument for like male wrestler of the year.
But Bianca, she's my number 3. She's right up there in star power.
I know. She's the best.
Like who could beat her right now? I love Charlotte Flair. I don't want to see that. It's just like every time we're going to get to the point where just Charlotte is taking the belt off of everyone.
Yeah. That's what makes me nervous.
You know, you could be Dewdrop.
Dewdrop. Change her name, bro. Just call her Piper.
Piper Nevin. Bring her back. You got all these UK people now, which, fun fact, in that Donnybrook match, 5 out of the 6 appeared in NXT UK. So the NXT UK
strong.
Brand represented.
Is that
strong.
Everyone but Sheamus?
Yeah. Sheamus obviously has been with the company
for
nearly 2 decades, it seems. Yeah.
Yeah.
About that. He's getting up there, and I know he's in his 40s. So, yeah, old boy indeed. But Bianca retaining here, do you think that leaves the door open still for Bayley since this was a ladder match?
Yeah, you've got, I think a lot of the Extreme Rules card gives you wiggle room with some of the matches. I think you have that gripe. I don't know where Damage Control goes next because they shot straight up the card. They have tag team champions and Bayley's up there, so I think they're going to run it back.
Yeah, run it back at Crown Jewel for sure. I just at this point, I don't know if Bayley is going to win, because if she didn't win here in that ladder match, I was thinking, well, I think Bianca's probably going to hold on to it, but that might ruin a little bit of Damage Control if their leader, quote unquote, Bayley, can't win the big one.
And they didn't win. They didn't win a match that they could interfere in. So if they go to a regular match and they can't, interfere, they've got to work twice as hard.
Oh, that's right. Asuka and Alexa didn't even show up to defend, right?
No.
Which is crazy to think about.
Me by myself, no one else, just me all day.
You got to clip that with Bianca's face and then tweet it out. That's something we can put on the TikTok right there.
Yes.
I know you're very capable of creating something like that. So we'll get to the lab after we do this show. But we got 2 more matches here. And then obviously we got to talk about the way that Extreme Rules ended. But let's get into this I Quit match between Edge and Finn Balor. And Finn, thanks to some of the help from the Judgment Day, got the win, and Edge says, I quit, because Beth Phoenix obviously shows up, and she was about to get hit with a concerto, and that is why Edge quit. Now, a lot of the criticism I'm seeing talk about this match is that it ran kind of long, but for me personally, and I'm not a big I Quit fan, I Quit match fan, I thought this was perfectly executed, especially with the involvement of Judgment Day and Beth Phoenix. What about you?
I thought it was long, but I didn't think it was too long, because I thought they told a lot. There was a lot of layers to a story they were telling. The one-on-one, you add the Judgment Day, you bring in Beth. There's a lot going on, and if you cut some of those parts out, I don't know if it's the same. If you reduce time or just like between each like segment, I don't know if it's the same. I thought it was long enough. I thought it was long, but I thought it was like needed.
Well, I think the reason there's criticism about it is because usually for the first 10 minutes of an I Quit match, the match isn't going to end. So you're kind of just sitting there taking it all in. You're not really getting into it. But I thought it was a smart decision to kind of just take that match to the crowd. You get interactive with people in the stands, and he choked out Finn with a hockey stick. I mean, they were in Philadelphia. Gritty was there backstage doing shit with the Miz. I thought everything made sense. And then you get the involvement of Judgment Day in there, which we knew inevitably was going to happen. And Beth Phoenix, obviously, with Rhea now down the line. Like you said, there's just so much things that come out of this. And Finn Balor is the one that stands tall here. This goes back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago, the rumors of Finn, getting a big push. I think this is the start of that. I think we finally are going to see Finn Balor get to the top.
It's a pretty good start if you're looking at a push, right? Like winning and defeating Edge. I think that's a pretty good way to start a run. And Judgment Day comes out of it looking pretty strong. It was a good match.
How about that concerto to Beth? That was rough. I thought she got fucked up.
Well, that I didn't like it because he said I quit. He was like, all right, like don't do that. And they're like, yeet, my world. I thought
Does
that
make
was
Rhea Ripley a liar?
I don't think it matters. She's Rhea Ripley. Call her what you want. She's Rhea
floppy
Ripley
now.
Whatever. Yeah. I don't think it matters what we think. She's going to do what she wants.
So down the road, I'm hoping we are going to see Rhea versus Beth. Now, I don't want it really to happen at Crown Jewel, because why do we got to give Saudi all the cool dream matches, Which I know that's the point, because they're paying the money to have WWE come, but maybe that's a Rumble match, because obviously you're going to have your 2 Rumble matches, but you got to have some marquee matchups. Why not do Beth Phoenix for Rhea there?
Yeah, you got to fill out day 1 in Survivor Series too. So there's some good matches, and those are going to need some sprinklings as well. Day 1's just a standard card. At least Survivor Series, you've got the War Games matches and things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going to be happening here coming up in the WWE. And shout out to Michael Cole too. I thought, especially in this match, let alone all night, he was fantastic. Especially when Dominic and Ray started getting into it there. He's like, God darn it, that is your father. That is your dad. And he's just getting so emotional in all these matches. That man's got to be one of the most underrated employees of WWE in the past couple of decades, because Michael Cole don't miss.
No, he had the the JR vibes from the Mankind Undertaker Hell in a Cell match, where he was like, it was very emotional for him, and it was kind of real. He comes across as, it matters to him, so it matters to me.
If the people that are commentating and doing play-by-play are sounding like they're emotionally invested into the product, it pays dividends. And I think that enhanced this match even more, which this match was my favorite match of the night. It was my match of the night. I don't know about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was this one and the Donnybrook. I liked them both. This one had more layers to it, but the Donnybrook felt more fun. So it's like apples and oranges a little bit. I will crown them both. I know I just gave match of the night to 1/3 of the card, but
that's a Marini move if I've ever seen one.
Well, it is what it is. Yep.
Participation trophies.
They all win. Yeah.
I mean, there really wasn't a bad match on the card, so I don't blame you for saying that those two were kind of even on the card there. So we have one more match here, and then obviously what everybody is talking about is Bray Wyatt. But let's talk about the actual fight pit here between Riddle and Rollins, because Riddle gets the win over Seth in this fight pit match, which was probably my favorite match of the night. Riddle gets the win in his home environment. It makes sense to me, but the only real complaint, and I wouldn't even call it a complaint, is that Daniel Cormier in this match really didn't have any significance. Like, what was the purpose of having him in here if he really wasn't going to get involved? Because to me, he was just a guy.
He was there to make it feel more legitimate. I think that was it. With him in the ring, you got a UFC Hall of Famer. It looks like it. He cares about it. It makes it more legitimate. That's the only thing I got out of it. I felt the same way. Like, well, okay.
I did like how he kind of like shoved Seth against the cage, and he's like, "You better listen to me. Like, these are my rules right here." And Seth kind of sold it as he was scared, which he should be. It's Daniel Cormier. But I mean, that might have been the best thing that came out of it. But overall, what did you think of this one? We haven't seen a fight pit match on the main roster. This was the first one since the COVID times in NXT here with Seth Rollins and Riddle. What were your overall thoughts?
The thing I like about the fight pit is that not every type of wrestler is built for a fight pit match. These two are, though, right? These two styles mesh very well. They told a compelling story. I liked the top of the fight pit, like that area above. Even how they had the design on it, where it wasn't it was just a design on the fight pit. There was no ads or anything, or it didn't say any words. I thought that was interesting and fun, like a fun element. I just thought it was a hard-hitting match, and it made Riddle look like smart at the end with the finish, the way he was able to win it too. So he not only tough and pissed off, but I thought he was pretty smart about it too.
Which is very good coming off of the RK Bro stuff, which he was kind of viewed as like the happy-go-lucky, pothead of the pairing right there. So now that he's apart from Randy Orton, we are getting a more serious Riddle, and this feud got personal, which then led us to the fight pit, which he gets the win. I think if he doesn't win here in the fight pit match, it sort of would ruin Riddle's character a little bit because that takes away the legitimacy of his background.
Yeah, what do you do? What's next? Like, how far down are you going to put him on the card? He's got to stay to that high. He's got to stay in that high mid card range. A loss would have been pretty tough. A couple of people picked Seth though.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm sure there were a few people that were on Seth Rollins, which I mean, picking Seth Rollins isn't stupid, but I liked how Seth kept his troll shit going on with the RVD like gear. Seth freaking Rollins, he was doing too. He did the frog splash off the cage. I mean, it just that guy he's on one hell of a run here in the WWE.
Well, he's adaptable, no doubt, right? Like he's got range. He not only is super athletic and a great performer, but like the chops that he has to the psychological layer of it, the chops he has to pull some of those things off that not many others do. That's why he's one of my favorites.
He's a top guy just like us, 2 OTM PLE champions.
We actually have gold though. He doesn't, so we're better.
Hopefully Seth will get gold soon. I would say a lot of people would agree he deserves it. If anybody on the card deserves it, it's Seth Rollins for the work he's put in the last calendar year. But I thought the senton spot was cool. Riddle going off the top there, and then he kind of submitted Seth Rollins with that triangle submission move out of nowhere, which the crowd really didn't get too into. I don't think they expected it to happen, but maybe the fact that they were just waiting on pins and needles for all the White Rabbit stuff. Do you think that had anything to do with maybe the crowd's reaction?
I do, because it was mostly like, okay, we haven't got it up to this point. It really feels like we're going to get it. And I think if we are, it's going to have to be after this match now. If it's not in between, like if it's not in the middle of it, and that doesn't make sense with like that debut in front of those two, like, but Triple H pulled out the old watermark again, tried to get us. And then it was 5 minutes of magic,
It kind of felt like, I don't know if you were watching NXT around the time when Johnny Gargano got turned on by Ciampa after TakeOver when they put up the watermark and he just threw him against the LED.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays, and I said this on SEW Steve's live stream the other day, I don't trust that watermark. Like, I'm just going to sit there until there's a Peacock ad or a WWE Network thing, and then I will trust it because, I mean, especially on Saturday night, we all assumed the White Rabbit was going to make his or her presence known. And then, of course, lights go out, fireflies. We see the Firefly Funhouse come to life as the spotlight, pans on over to all these characters. I mean, from the door entrance, the spotlight there, Bray Wyatt coming out with the lantern. Every single little detail about this return talk was perfection.
It was real. I liked all of it, and it was enough. I think some people were wondering if it was enough. I think it was, because now the whole White Rabbit stuff was not to have him debut and win a title on the first night. It was just to see if he existed, right? Like, who is it? What is it? And now we know. And now that we know, now we go.
And there's still a lot of question marks coming out of that return from Bray Wyatt, which, first off, the crowd reaction, we haven't heard a reaction to somebody returning in, I don't know, years. I would even say this was a bigger pop than Cody Rhodes, because I know they talked about it a little bit on the Ringer Wrestling channel. I forgot what show it was, but those cameras are made to pick up noise and block out everything that's happening in the background. But when Bray Wyatt said, "I'm here" or "I'm back," whenever it was when he took off his mask, we couldn't even hear Bray. That's how loud it was in the arena.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That would probably have been my reaction too if I was there in attendance. But so what do you think comes of this now that we saw those Funhouse characters come to life? Do you think this is going to be a group, or is that just like a nod to the past of Bray Wyatt?
It's interesting. That's what I'm watching tonight for. I don't know. Like, is he right into a feud? Like, who are you going to sacrifice first? Like, what's it look like? A lot of people were very critical of the Fiend character because he felt like he ruined a lot of other characters along the way.
Well, it's hard to work with the Fiend character.
But Seth Rollins survived. He's like the only one, really. So I'm interested.
And his Twitter's dark now too.
Well, that's the thing. Are those two related, or are they not related, going their separate ways? We'll see.
Yeah, Liv and Seth both lose, then they go completely dark. I don't know if that's anything relating to Bray Wyatt, but that's got the whole internet talking now. And of course, when I got back from my weekend in St. Louis, I sat down. I started to think of what could be if this Wyatt 6 is a thing. And we recently saw reports yesterday that the real life brother of Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas, is rumored to be returning to the WWE. I would guess if he is returning, it makes sense to kind of pair him with Bray Wyatt. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it makes plenty of sense. I'm interested. I don't know if I'm so excited to see Bo Dallas. I'm excited what could happen if they give Bray the freedom.
Do you want to hear my predictions if the Wyatt 6 is an actual thing?
Yes.
All right, let's put it on the record here. Abigail, Liv Morgan. Only because, she had that sadistic smile while being submitted by Ronda Rousey, and I don't want it to be Alexa again. So I'm going to say Sister Abigail is Liv Morgan. Huskus the Pig, I think it's Joe Gacy. I mean, we've seen what Joe Gacy is doing in NXT. He gives me those vibes. I think he needs to be a part of this spooky faction here with Bray Wyatt. And obviously, if you have Joe Gacy, you have to have the involvement of Zach Gibson and James Drake. So I think James Drake is going to be the Rambling Rabbit, and I think Zach Gibson is going to be the Buzzard. So you kind of have Schism, as I think they're called, or the Dyad, whatever they are in NXT, a part of that group. Then you have that fiendish character. Maybe that's Bo Dallas. Maybe Bo kind of just adopts that fiend vibe, and he's a part of the Wyatt 6. And then you obviously have Bray Wyatt being Bray Wyatt, or the White Rabbit, whatever he's going to be. So that's another thing that I question now, Tuck. Is Bray Wyatt just going to be OG Bray, or are we going to see another layer to this character?
Is he the Fiend? Is he going to be Bray? Is it a new layer? Is it that mask thing? Is that part of it? Was that a one-time thing? The mask was kind of cool. There's a lot of questions.
I mean, how about that Firefly Funhouse, like all the cobwebs everywhere? I believe the mask too that Sister Abigail was wearing was what Luke Harper wore in the Bludgeon Brothers. Like, there were so many bits and pieces that went into this. And I even saw somebody come up with an idea that spotlight that was coming from the door was similar to the Brody Lee spotlight we saw in AEW when he became the leader of the Dark Order. So, like, if that's an actual thing, Bray Wyatt's a fucking creative genius, man. That guy don't miss.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We're probably going to find out here in about an hour as we are finishing up here at 5:45 Central Time. Monday Night Raw goes live at 7 p.m. over here, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. I think we're definitely going to be able to run this thing right before Monday Night Raw. So if you are watching this, enjoy the hell out of Raw, because we definitely are. Give me a prediction, though, since we got a few things happening on Monday Night Raw. We have a United States Championship match between Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins. Who walks out U.S. champion?
Bobby Lashley.
Really?
Yeah, the blacked out Twitter makes me weird. I don't know.
The blacked out Twitter. Okay.
But like, if he blacked out and he's like going dark, what is he going to do with the title? Does he even show up? Is that match actually happening?
That's a good question. Maybe he no-shows it. Okay. All right. Now the people that are listening back to this after watching Raw will be like, "You fucking idiot! Seth Rollins walked out U.S. champion."
Cool. Maybe
he does.
Like that. I don't know. I don't know if this blacked out Seth Rollins mystique needs a title right now.
That's a good point. Because I originally was saying that Seth was going to lose the Fight Pit and then win the U.S. title, but the social media blackout scares me. I'll go with Seth. I'll go with Seth. Just gonna stick with it. I don't feel confident about it. And then the other thing, if we do see Bray Wyatt, You think he attacks or confronts anyone, or is he kind of just going to explain his actions? What are you feeling there?
I don't think we see him live. I think there's a vignette. That's all I got.
If we do see him live, my prediction is his first victim's Riddle. Riddle has ties to Randy Orton. Riddle's coming off a big win in the fight pit. Let's crash his dreams right
He
there.
was the last one on the screen before the arena went
black. See,
that's also true. A little small thing, yeah.
Because if it's not Riddle, I don't know really who it's going to be. But I'm excited for it. Bray Wyatt's back. Extreme Rules was good. What would be your overall grade for Extreme Rules?
A. It was just good, like 90. A minus.
Was it banger after banger?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. 8.75.
That's what I was going to say. It was 8.75 because the strap match was just eh. I mean, the Extreme Rules match between Liv and Ronda was okay. It wasn't great, but the rest really delivered. And especially watching the second time around, the third time, and the fourth of Bray Wyatt's return. Like we always say, the last thing you see is going to make the biggest impression.
Facts.
That's what everybody's talking about right now. So we'll find out. And obviously, since this is a pre-recorded show, the MVM stays on SCW Steve. So we will see if he can retain that title this Thursday, because we are still going to do OTM episode 118 on Thursday at our usual time, Tucky. But I think that's all we got for him, Tuck. You got any final thoughts about Extreme Rules as we are about to sit down and watch Monday Night Raw?
I think that was a great formula for a B-level pay-per-view. 6 matches, all focused with good stories, without including the major title. I thought it was great. And then they didn't add any unnecessary fluffy matches to waste the time. 3 hours on a Saturday night is an investment, and they didn't waste our time. So I hope B-level pay-per-views stay to that. 6 matches. Throw one on the pre-show if you feel like it. Let's go 3 hours, nice and tight, in and out, and then Royal Rumble, right? WrestleMania, 4.5. Like you can add more to the big ones and make them more meaningful.
The big four, quote unquote, which I don't even know if they have the big four anymore. I wouldn't call it Survivor Series.
Well, let's see how War Games goes. That would make it a big four, I think.
Yeah, if War Games pops off.
But it's really SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and the Rumble.
And I think we both would agree Money in the Bank has kind of fallen into that a little bit in the big four. Like I look forward to Money in the Bank every single year. But like you would always say, Tuck, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. So why don't you send us home for the night?
Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, which is not that far away, just a couple days, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.